Released in September 23, 2020, Out of Rally all lowercase might be the game that rekindles my love for driving games, and I've been craving one for a long time. The head of my driving game era was during the PlayStation 2 days with Gran Turismo 3 A-Spec, and needless to say, it's been a while. It's not like I haven't satisfied my need for a racing game in 20 years, but no game has hit the same ever since. Out of Rally, all lowercase, is a game that I had on my radar for a while. It is developed by Fun Selector Labs, a small indie company with only 3 games to their name, all of them about driving. The main developer of the game intended it to be a more refined and bigger game than Absolute Drift, a game that the company released in 2015 which, as the name suggests, focuses on drifting and looks to be a smaller and more focused game. At first look, Out of Rally seems like a toy game. It's very colorful and stylized. It looks like one of those cozy city builders like Dorfromantik and Townscaper. This is how the game first caught my eye. Racing games have always been colorful. It's part of the sport, but the stages of Out of Rally are very colorful and vivid and saturated. The main mode of the game is Career Mode. It consists of various rally events where you compete against computer-controlled drivers and in the end the best time wins. But here's the twist. The events and cars are all based on real-life rally events and cars, going back to the dawn of the sport in 1967. There's a good amount of locations: Finland, Norway, Kenya, Sardinia, Australia, Japan, Indonesia, and the car selection is huge too. When the game first introduces itself, we are told this is an alternate universe where Group B of the World Rally Championship never ceased to exist. Group B was a set of regulations, basically a competition category on the WRC from 1982 to 1986. But it was wild. It had to be banned from competition because it was too dangerous for drivers and spectators alike. This took me on a rabbit hole, and now my algorithm is all about cars. The real history is very interesting and worth looking more into it. Even though the game branches out from reality, the cars are all real and recognizable to their real-life counterparts. This leads into the next thing that I'm going to say. I think this mode could have been called History Mode or Story Mode, because every bit of it not spent driving is dedicated to telling the story of the sport. It is like a visit to the museum. It's not heavy in details, but it might make you want to have more context when you see something. The lore provided for each car is both just enough to pique your interest and not enough in information, and I think that's exactly what the developers intended. Another twist on Career Mode is that the events are randomized. I discovered this when I got a snow event one time and I had selected a new car to test drive. I was doing so bad that I abandoned the event to restart. After that I got a more suitable event. This is kinda cool and it took me by surprise. It lets you skip some of the most difficult events if you're not feeling up to it, which is nice for progress. The second mode I want to touch on is Free Roam. This is the mode that the game puts you in when you start the game. It serves as the tutorial for the game, but the objective is to just drive around in a closed track of interconnected roads and find collectibles, which you can track on the bottom right of the screen. After you finish, there's not much else you can do but to quit to the main menu. All in all, it's a fine mode. It's chill and you can use it to master a specific car's handling. Then there's 3 more modes, which I didn't spend too much time with, but here they are. Time Trial, Custom Rally, and Online Events. Time Trial is exactly what you would expect. Custom Rally are custom events where you can choose everything: the country, length, tracks, weather, and car category. Online events are daily and weekly trials where you have only one chance to put your best time against other players around the world. I spent most of my time in career mode, and through all of my playtime I set the difficulty to the second highest out of 5. At first I couldn't crack the top 5 at any event because I was trying to get used to the controls and I was jumping from one car to another, which wasn't great. That, combined with the urge of never breaking, and the game feels insurmountably hard. Then it all clicked. I stopped accelerating or braking while turning. I started doing my best to stay inside the track, even if it meant that I was so slow it looked as if I wasn't moving. I stayed away from those railings. My driving still wasn't perfect, but it was so much better after this. It is possible to enjoy things you're not good at, but after you get better, they are much more enjoyable. This is what happened to me in this game. Once I learned how to drive in the game, it became a thrilling experience. It's the kind of rush you get on a boss fight, and I had forgotten it was possible in a driving game. The game puts its focus on the excitement of the drive and creating a good vibe. I already talked about the visuals, but the music in the game deserves high praise. It's a mix of chill wave and retro, with that vibe of race game soundtrack sprinkled on. The music never stops, even for loading screens, which lets you appreciate each and every song. The music alone is worth it, and I could see myself listening to it while working on something I want to focus on. Music is something I have found indie games do well. It is often spot on with the vibe that the game goes for, and this is yet another game where it's true. I couldn't help being reminded of Top Gear for the SNES. Both games are driving games and have the perfect soundtrack that evokes racing. In the case of Top Gear, it was through chiptune, and here through Sims. I'll leave links to both soundtracks in the description. I wanted to see how the game runs on a low-power PC, so I tested it on my old laptop from 2017 with an Intel 7th generation Core i5 CPU and integrated graphics that's running on Linux. I set all of the settings to the minimum, and this is what I got. It lacks detail. Objects are popping in the background. The lines are glitchy. But look at the FPS on the upper left. It is consistently above 47 FPS and it looks smooth. Consider also that this is 720p blown up to 180p, so things are bound to look worse. The important thing here is that the game runs smoothly and, all things considered, it looks good. I love a good driving game. Out there in the real world, if you remove the traffic and let me turn up the stereo just a little bit, I'm the happiest I can ever be. Out of Rally lets me be that person to some extent. It's a pure experience of driving. It's just you, your car, and the track. You don't have to worry about drivers. You don't have to worry about tuning your car. You barely have to worry about repairs. You just step on it and go. I compare the game to a museum of history, but it is also a love letter and a tribute to Rally. I don't think it's trying to be the most realistic experience. I think its main goal is to be an idealized and fun experience, and it succeeds at it. The cozy game comparison is fitting too, if you can ignore the stress of having to go fast and inside the track. The sound design and music contribute a lot in making this a well-rounded experience. Out of Rally is proof that you don't need realistic graphics to create a good experience of gaming. I'm happy to announce that the developers still support the game and are still patching it to this day, which is always exciting. I couldn't find much information about Fanselector, but it is definitely a small company. I'm impressed with what they did here, and I'm already eyeing their latest game too, but for now, Out of Rally, all lowercase, is going to scratch my racing game itch. And that's it. Out of Rally is a small game, but a real impressive one. The care and attention to detail is very noticeable. I enjoyed the time that I spent so far with it, and I expect to keep coming back. I think the visuals make it very appealing to a wider audience of players who not necessarily go for this genre of games. It's available on all consoles and mobile, but for PC it has very stripped down system requirements, which means it can run easily on older hardware, and it could be a great gift for a younger gamer who doesn't have a powerful PC or a console yet. And if you're still not convinced, just consider the soundtrack. It is bliss. Thank you so much for watching and for making it this far in the video. You know what to do below, and you know what you can find in the description. It would mean so much to me if you would. I will be back with another game from my backlog or something else that I want to ramble about. Until next time, I am Echo Unit A.